Lee Greenwood singing God Bless America 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning, 23rd day of April, 2024. Thought, I thought today was the 24th. Anyway, today is Passover. All right. As we were talking about it earlier, it was one of the three feasts that Jewish people were expected to go to Jerusalem and celebrate. What are the feast days all about? It's a day, a special time. Some of them are more than just a day, like tabernacles, but it's a time for God's people to come and meet with God. And God says, you leave everything and you come and you meet with me on this special day. Let's have some special fellowship together. And he says, don't worry about your homes. Don't worry about your finances. Don't worry about your crops. Don't worry about your animals. He says, I'll take care of everything when you come and you meet with me. And Passover is one of those times. So it started sundown yesterday and it will finish at sundown today. And if you're not sure what Passover is all about, it should be. Let me say it this way: it should be your story. You should know how Passover could be your story. Anyway, good morning, Andrea. Thanks for being along with us today. We are on part 3 of Gospel Harmony. Part 33 of Gospel Harmony. So this is our 33rd program that we have had here on the early morning program, going through A.T. Robertson's Gospel Harmony, Life of Christ curriculum. And, we had never done this before, weren't sure if it would even work. Tested it out. We had the beta version for about the first week or so and said, yeah, I guess we can attempt to do this. And we're smack dab in the middle of it, because look at the screen. If you're with us on, maybe I ought to put that up for you right there. If you see the top of the screen, which is kind of covered up, we're in chapter 66. And if we would go all the way down to the bottom, we would find out that there's 184 chapters. So we're a little bit more than a third of the way if you're just looking at as chapters. So 66 would be boom right there, and that's where we're at. Prayer line is open right now till 8 o'clock in the morning. Got the thumbs up from Pauline at 505-425-3717, ready to pray for your needs and to hear your testimonies of what God is doing in your life at 505-425-3717 till 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I have the 24-hour prayer line. Actually, it's an email address, cliff@klyn@gmail.com. And we're going to change that address here pretty soon for prayer and encouragement. As soon as, well, I guess I could do it even before that, because I'm going to change it to KLYN 903 at something or another. I don't know what email carrier that we will use. Are you a little concerned about all the hacking that's going on and ransomware and everything? My God! And then you see all the vulnerabilities in Google platform and say, "Ooh, I don't know if I like that, if that's safe." Just a little side note for you there, something to watch out for. So yeah, part 33, chapter 66 on Gospel Harmony is where we are at right now, and we're going to show you full screen for those that are with us on Facebook, LV Cornerstone, or on our YouTube channel, LV Cornerstone Church, to where you can follow along with us and even watch the screen, the same screen that I'm teaching out of. Good morning, Mike and Karine. 52 degrees out there, ladies and gentlemen. Man, after yesterday's beautiful weather, it was great yesterday. The weather was just fantastic. One of those days that you kind of wish, how come all days can't be like this? It just doesn't work that way, okay? You got to have 4 seasons here in New Mexico, which we love. But yesterday was one of those days where you say perfect weather, a little bit of breeze, perfect weather, sun was shining. It was great. But we got to get to work. We got to get to work. Let's get to work. Matthew chapter 8, Mark chapter 5, Luke chapter 8 all cover Jesus healing the Gerasene demoniac. So we've found Jesus a couple of chapters ago teaching on the Sea of Galilee. Good morning, Chana. We saw Jesus teaching on the shores of the Sea of Galilee the kingdom parables. They get into the boat. They start crossing over the lake and the storm, and that's the last part of yesterday's program that you can find on YouTube or on Facebook. And as they're crossing over, there's a big storm. Jesus is asleep in the boat, probably super spent after preaching and ministering to the people for days on that side of the Sea of Galilee, and then a storm comes up. The disciples freak out. These seasoned sailors, they knew when there was a storm that was a little bit bigger than them, but not bigger than Jesus. And Jesus shows up, and Jesus rebukes the wind and probably goes back to sleep. I don't remember if he does or not. Anyway, good morning, Jennifer. How you doing this morning? So now he's come to the other side of the lake. Okay? When he had come to the other side, good. And I'm sorry, but this is the way I think. You're in the boat with Jesus. You've been rowing, going to the other side or setting the sail, whatever they do. I don't know. Okay, but you've gone through the storm. Jesus has calmed the storm, and you finally get to the other side of the lake. I couldn't get out of the boat fast enough. I'm not going to wait for the boat to hit the dock or to hit the shore. I'm jumping out of the boat and saying, oh, it reminds me of an event many years ago when I took my young family to that lake out there by farming. Was it Navajo Lake, Mrs. Ice? We rented a motorboat. We went out in the middle of the lake, and just about the time we were the farthest away from the dock, the storm came and hit us. And it's Eileen and I, it's Jake, it's Rachel, and it's Jonathan, my full family. We were all there on a little vacation coming from southern Colorado. And it was waves. It was something else. And, what do I know about boats except put the motor full power and start pointing it toward. Anyway, when we got to the dock, we were probably at least a couple of foot away from the dock, and Rachel and Jonathan jumped out of the boat onto the dock, and I don't think they ever want to get on a boat with me again. And that's the way I feel about these guys here after the storm. When he had come to the other side, to the country of the Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. Now we're going to be looking at the Mark account, and we're going to be looking at the Luke account, and it's just talking about one demon-possessed man. Now, let me cover something here. The word possession is not a good translation. Okay? The devil does not, or demons. Let's talk about demons because we're not talking about the devil. We're talking about demons. Demons do not possess. They inhabit, or whatever you want to use. They oppress, but possession talks about ownership, and they do not possess men. Sometimes it's a minor point, but in some people's mind, they think, well, the devil owns me, man. The devil owns me. And no, let me tell you about you, our listeners today. Jennifer, Chana, Corrine and Mike, Tommy and Andrea, and everybody else that's listening to us out there on social media. If you're born again, you have been bought with the blood, purchased. And yes, the enemy can come and he can oppress, but he does not possess. When he had come to the other side, the country of the Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. I think I said this already in the Mark account and the Luke account. They only talk about one guy. Okay, well, we'll be there in a little while because we choose the shorter event first, which is the Matthew 8 account, and then we go to the middle side, then larger. And suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" The demons that were in these men knew who Jesus was. The men didn't know them. The men didn't know. I mean, we're having a hard enough time with the disciples knowing. Then the multitudes kind of real foggy, and the religious leaders, they're just discounting him completely. But the demons knew who he was. And suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God?" They knew who he was. How did they know who he was? Very, very interesting subject. Here's another interesting. Have you come here to torment us before the time? The demons know, including their chief, the devil, knows that they have a set time. They know the same way that you wait for the time for the trumpet to blow. Let's say that as believers, most believers have a sense of the return of Christ Jesus. Let's not talk about raptures. Let's talk about coming kingdom. Let's just talk about, we know that we have a sense because there's a promise. The angels are looking at the disciples in the first chapter of Acts when Jesus ascends up into heaven, and he's taking, according to the book of Ephesians, a train of believers with him, those who believed and died, and he's taking them up to. Anyway, the angels tell the disciples, "What are you looking at? Don't you know that the same way that he's going is the same way that he's coming back?" And I would imagine that every true believer has this hope. It's the hope that he has. But the demons know that they have another destiny, and it's not your destiny. Have you come here to torment us before the time? A time of torment is coming upon the kingdom of darkness. And you know what? We can remind them about that. And you know what we can do? We can overcome them. Jesus is going to overcome. Jesus is going to show that the kingdom of God is here, and he's going to torment him, but there is a time coming. Do you realize that? And don't feel sorry for them. Now, a good way off from there was a herd of many swine feeding. So the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, permit us to go away into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So when they had come out, they went into the herd of swine. Suddenly the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea and perished into the water. Now, here's my take on this. I believe that the Gergesenes and this area that we're talking about over there was within the confines of Israel, under the covenant. What were these guys doing? Raising pigs. Why were they raising pigs to begin with anyway? In the covenant of Moses, swine were unclean animals. If you understand the dietary laws of the Old Testament, we're not the same anymore. Okay, we don't live under those dietary laws anymore. I don't care what you say. All things Jesus proclaimed clean. Okay, taken care of. But they would not eat pork meat. Didn't have anything to do with it. A lot of things that we eat today, like shrimp, lobster, shellfish and stuff like that, they would not touch at all. They were unclean. What were these Jewish people doing raising swine? I say that's, and I've heard that before. I just didn't know what they were doing. This was an undercover operation. These guys were living on the other side of the lake, probably in some isolated corner of Israel where a lot of people didn't go. And they had themselves their little black market going on the side. Yeah, they had what do you call those guys in Mexico that are taking over the country, the drug trade people, the cartels? This is the pig cartel of Israel, which were probably, and I'm just throwing this out over here, they were probably selling pork meat to all the Gentiles around, and probably every once in a while having their own little pork chop to go along with it. But these are just things that we think about. I think about as I'm going through. Let's play a song, though. Let's get us up to our first live weather report of the morning, and then we will continue. It's Randy Travis singing Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Go and tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Hey, go tell it on that mountain, Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. I say go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ was born. While shepherds kept there watching over silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. I said go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ was born. Christ was born, God sent to us salvation, born that Christmas morn. Hey, go tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. I say go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ is born. I said go tell it on that mountain, and everywhere. I say go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ is born, that Jesus Christ is born. I say go tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. I say go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ isn't born. Hey, go tell it on that mountain, over the hills and everywhere. I say go tell it on that mountain, that Jesus Christ is born. Hallelujah.
minutes after the hour. Randy Travis. Love that voice. Anyway, let's get into a weather report. 30 minutes after the hour, I'm showing a current temperature of 52 degrees, very warm. I haven't seen 52 degrees at 6:30 in the morning for a while now. Sunny today, high near 79 degrees with a west wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny, 76 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10, becoming southwest 15 to 20 tomorrow afternoon. And on Thursday, mostly sunny, high near 74 degrees, patchy blowing dust in the afternoon, southwest wind 10 to 20, increasing 20 to 35 after lunch, with gusts as high as 50 miles per hour. And that is your updated weather report. Let's see. Yep, prayer line 505-425-3717 or cliff@klyn@gmail.com. All of those are available for you, and we're going back to, so you know anybody who has a ham I can buy? Well, I hear if you go up to the other side of the lake that there's a meat market that's got some, but you know, they're under the counter. You gotta know what the password is to get. Yeah, I sure could use some ham, brother. I could use. I'm really interested in what it's. Yeah, okay. Well, watch out, man. Watch out with that stuff. I hear it's addicting. Flo and Joe, good morning. Good morning. We're asking why there is swine herders in the country of the Gergesenes. Anyway, the main subject really so far is the demon-possessed. That's what we're there for. So the demons begged him, saying, suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" We covered that pretty good. Now, a good way off from there was a herd of many swine feeding. How do you like my herd, brother? Look at my herd. They're good-looking dulocks, man. I'm telling you, those are the best. So the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, permit us to go away into the herd of swine." Oh my God! I can think of a lot of things, not bad. It's just different, funny things. And he said to them, "Go." So when they had come out, they went into the herd of swine. And suddenly the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea and perished in the water. And there goes your contraband. There goes your sidekick right along with it, brother. I had a good thing going, man. So let's just read. So then those who kept them fled. They went away into. You've heard of sheep herders, haven't you? We have pig herders too. Okay. Well, let's clean it up a little. Swine herders. Then those who kept them fled. They went away into the city and told everything, including what had happened to the demon-possessed man. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they begged him to depart from their region. Did they beg him to depart because he set the demon-possessed men free? Or because he took away he didn't take it away. The pigs were the ones who said, the demon-possessed man, the demon said, "Send us into the swine." The whole city came out to meet Jesus. You think they'd be, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to read. Okay, let's go. Then they came. Then they sailed. Let's go to the Luke version because it's a little bit shorter than the Mark version. Then they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee. When he stepped out on the land, there met him a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. He wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in the tombs. This is the man that Jesus is going to set free. In fact, if you read it in the Mark account, verse 4 says, he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, neither could anyone tame him. Night and day always he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones. Let's say we living in the city, that town, the country of the Gadarenes. And at night you could hear the screaming coming from the hills. And there's no way you're going to pass through that part of town, especially at night you're not going to pass through. They've tried chaining him before. He's controlled. The demons will try to control you. They'll try to come in and they'll try to intimidate and put fear into. And he's got this whole city, as far as I'm concerned, he's got this whole city underneath his thumb, and they are in sinful, breaking the covenant of Moses activity. Well, and we found out in the end of Matthew that they say, could you leave? Could you please get out of here like quick? Oh my God, God pulled the covers on him. They sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee. When he stepped out of the land, he met a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. He wore no clothes. Don't take your kids out there. Nor did he live in the house, but in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." So in the Matthew account, what have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come to torment us? In the Luke account, he fell down before him. And I understand that there's talking about one man in Luke and two men in Matthew. But with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of..." They understood who he was. They knew his name. They knew who he was. And they knew that he was there to torment him. I beg you, do not torment me. In verse 7 of the Mark account, it says, when he cried out with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with Jesus, Son of the Most High? I implore you by God that you do not torment me." So all of them are pretty much the same. Back to Luke, verse 30. Jesus asked him, saying, "What's your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered him. This wasn't the man's name. This was the state of the oppression that the demons had upon this guy. Just didn't have one or two or three. And you understand, what is a legion? A legion was a part of a Roman army that some people say 1,000 or 2,000 soldiers comprised a demon. And you're going to find out here, there's going to be a number. There's going to be a number here pretty soon. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered him. And they begged him that he would not command them to go into the abyss. Ladies and gentlemen, that explains the torment that is coming. There are demons that are in the abyss right now, that I believe the book of Revelation says that they will be unloosed in the last times, in the end times. But the abyss is where all the demons are going to spend eternity. Talk about fire and brimstone, you talk about torment. And, I'm not here to give you a teaching of what hell is going to look like, what eternal damnation is going to look like. But you can pick out some stuff out of here, and it brings it up. And that's the whole thing about going through the Bible verse by verse the way that we do it. Okay, Jody just happens to tell us that each legion consisted of 4,200 to 5,000 infantry and 300 cavalry soldiers. 5,000? And demons are liars to begin with. Their father is a liar. So, there might not have been 4,000, 5,000. I don't know, but I'm telling you, there was a lot of them. And they were pretty proud of their name. Oh, yeah, we're Legion. Oh, yeah, and they're always looking. Let me tell you another thing about a demon. It's looking for a house. It's looking for a home. Just don't let it be your home. They begged him that he would not have commanded to go into the abyss. It wasn't their time to go into the abyss, but there was some judgment that was coming their way. Now a herd of many swine was feeding there on the mountain, so they begged him that he would permit them to enter. He permitted them. The demons went out of the man, entered the swine. The herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. When those who fed them saw what had happened, they fled and told it in the city and in the country. Run home, ring the bell, get everybody's attention. Oh, I have an imagination. Imagine these pig herders, swine keepers, run into the city and they ring the bell and tell everybody what has happened. And the leaders say, "What pigs? We didn't even know there was swine out there. How? I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I didn't even know what was going on. We knew about the demoniac. We definitely knew, but we didn't know that people, appalled by the whole deal." Yeah, they've been taking their cutting on the side. They had free pork chops whenever they wanted to. Barbecue ribs. When those fed them saw what had happened, they fled and told it to the city and the country. Then they went out to see what had happened and came to Jesus, found the man from whom the demons had departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Jesus said he came to set the captives free, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus told his disciples, did we have a little pause in the internet connection there? So Jesus told his disciples that they would cast out demons. Then they went out to say, "Oh, well, that's just for these guys. That's just for the, what does the Catholic Church call those guys that even made a movie about him?" Yeah. They went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus, found the man from the demons that departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Wait. I thought you were afraid of him before, when he was chained up, when he was screaming at night, when he was controlling the road and probably controlling most of the city whenever he wanted to, scared the daylights out of everybody. Now he's in his right mind and they're afraid. Why are they afraid, ladies and gentlemen? Now, this to me is more than just a good idea that I might have. Why were they afraid? Because if Jesus can come and deliver that legion of demons and throw them into the pigs, how about their own little stuff that they have going on that maybe isn't so little? If conviction comes upon them, they're going to be afraid. I've seen conviction come upon people in the middle of a service. I've seen conviction come upon people in the middle of just a street witnessing situation. I've seen conviction come upon in all kinds of different times when the word is being preached and the power of the Holy Spirit is there to save and to deliver and to heal, and people get so convicted, but they take the wrong road. They take the low road instead of the high road, and they just want to get out as quick as they can. Get me out of here now. Look, I gotta go. I forgot that I had it. Oh, my phone's ringing. It's gotta do this. And you say, okay, don't follow him. Don't follow them. They've made a decision on their own. and they were afraid. They also who had seen it told them by what means he who had been demon possessed was healed. They also who had seen it told them. So there's somebody that witnessed it. Whatever some of the swine herders that stayed behind, I don't know. We saw him. We saw him. He approached him. He started walking toward him, and he told the demon, go, and he asked him what his name was, and they started crying out and saying, throw us into the swine. So there's the testimony. Was it just the testimony of Jesus? Was it just, maybe it's the testimony of the disciples because they were there along with them. Maybe that was the they. When they went out to see what had happened, they came to Jesus, found the man with the demon possessed. They were afraid. Also, he had seen it, told them by what means he who had been demon possessed was healed. He just spoke it. He just told them. Then the whole multitude of the surrounding region of the Gadarenes asked him to depart from them, for they were seized with great fear. I wonder where that fear came from. Because there's two kinds of fear. Just like there's different kinds of love, there's different kinds of wisdom, different kinds of fear. Was this a godly fear or not? For they were seized with great fear, and he got into the boat and returned. Maybe that's why people run away from the supernatural. Maybe that's why people say, and he got in, for they were seized with great fear. Maybe that's why they get fearful. I have a feeling that's why the Sadducees, Pharisees, scribes, and all the other religious leaders, priests, and everybody all were so adamant about what Jesus was doing, because he was doing what they should have been doing. They were seized with great fear. He got into the boat and returned. Now, the man from whom the demons had departed begged him that he might be with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, return to your own house. So this guy left the legions behind. The pigs are in the sea, all dead, off the cliff. Our little cartel, our little side work that we got going on, this little undercover business, is not undercover anymore. The man says, I want to follow you. I want to go with you. I want to go with you. He begged him. He begged him that he might be with him. Jesus sent him away, saying, return to your own house and tell what great things God has done for you. Some people who have experienced a miracle in the ministry of Jesus, Jesus told them, don't tell anybody. Others, he said, go tell. Don't have an answer to that situation, but how can you hold it in? Most people don't. Return to your own house and tell what great things God has done for you. Son, you can go home now. Your parents, your family, you can go home now. Because you see, well, isn't your uncle the one that, he's kind of related to us, but he's not. Now he's home, and he's healed. He's in his right mind, and he's got his clothes on. He went his way, proclaimed throughout the whole city what great things Jesus had done for him. Now, let's go to the Mark account. By now, we know a lot of the particulars in the Matthew and the Luke account, but here's the longest. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes. When he had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. So now you get the feeling now is that this demoniac approaches him. Immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit who had his dwelling among the tombs. No one could bind him, not even with chains, because he often had been bound with shackles and chains. The chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him. Yeah, we tried everything we could, man, and you don't love a demon, okay? You don't say, "Well, we're just trying to love the demon." Maybe if we you give them a box of food every week, and maybe if we, you know, and maybe it's hard when you got your own little racket going on in the background. Always, night and day, he was in the mountains, in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones. So now you get see a fuller picture of what was going on. And I'm still a little, there was two or there was one, would just one come and the other was, I don't know. When he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and worshipped him. The other guys didn't say that he worshipped him. I don't think they did. He cried out with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God that you do not torment me." Notice how he says, "I implore you by God." The demon knew. This isn't the man talking. These are the demons talking through the man. He said, well, the demon-possessed man, he had some pretty good doctrine there. Was he reading his Bible? No, the demons, the demons know and they shudder. For Jesus had said to him, verse 8, "Come out of the man, unclean spirit." Then he asked him, "What is your name?" He answered, saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He also begged him earnestly that he would not send them out of the country. One of you says, "Don't send us into the abyss." Verse 11 says, "Now a large herd of swine was feeding there in the mountains." Notice how we're repetitious with looking at the Mark, the Luke, the Matthew accounts, and getting a fuller picture at the same time. So all the demons begged him, saying, "Send us into the swine. Send us to the swine that we may enter them." And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out, entered the swine. There were about 2,000 legion. Yeah. Each legion consisted of 4,200 to 5,000 infantry and 300 cavalry. There's 2,000, so there's enough for 2.5 demons per pig that's out over there. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea and drowned in the sea. Ugh. Who's going to clean up that mess? Call the sharks. Call the fish. Oh, could you imagine them coming in? I don't think they're sharks. I don't know, man. I'm just saying it. So the piranhas. Yeah, call the piranhas. Then you got a piranha problem is what you have. So those who fed the swine fled. They told it in the city, in the country. They went out to see what it was that had happened. When they came to Jesus, saw the one who had been demon-possessed and had the legion, sitting and clothed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Ditto of what Luke told us. So those who saw it told them how it had happened, who had been demon-possessed, about the swine. Then they began to plead with him to depart from their region. You're not going to invite them in. You're not going to say, "Hey, do you want to, how about you coming into the synagogue and we have a whole week's worth of meetings? It's Passover. Do you want, well, I don't know if it was Passover then, but it's Passover today. Do you want to have a special Passover service? We could, we're going to forget everything. We're just going to drop it all right now." They began to plead with him to depart from their region. When he got into the boat, he who had been demon-possessed begged him that he might be with him. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said, "Go home to your friends. Tell them what great things the Lord has done for you, how he has had compassion on you." He departed and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Jesus had done for him, and all marveled. Notice this, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to go into our break. Jesus didn't allow him to follow him. But what Jesus did was commission him to go tell the people what he had done for him. Decapolis was a 10-city region that was on that side of the lake. 10 cities. And this guy goes out there and he starts evangelizing the 10 cities. He departed and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Jesus has done for him, and all marveled. What can I say? Well, here's something I can say. The kingdom of God is like a seed that is sown in the ground. The farmer sows the seed, goes to sleep at night, and doesn't know that it's active, that it's working, that it's doing something. And the seed had been sown in this demon-possessed, set-free man, and now the seed is going to bear much fruit.
There is no rock, there is no God like our God. No other name worthy of all our praise. The rock of salvation that cannot be moved. He's proven himself to be faithful and true. There is no rock, there is no God like ours.
Good morning, Las Vegas. You are listening to KLYNLP. It's a Tuesday morning, the 23rd day of April, Passover 2024. Yes, sirree. Another one of the feast days right now, according to the calendar. Started at sundown yesterday till sundown today is when Passover is. We have a prayer line open for you right now at 505-425-3717. Also, we have an email address for prayer, cliff@klyn@gmail.com is available for you. Current temperature right now, 51 degrees. Ooh, dropped a degree. Yeah, I don't think it's going to drop any more than that. From here, we're going to go on up to maybe the mid-70s or so. Full weather report coming up for you at the bottom of the hour. We are in our gospel harmony, moving over to chapter 67. Okay, we finished 66 on today's program. We're going to get started into chapter 67, and we're looking at the Matthew account because, again, that is the shortest of the accounts of the healing of Jairus' daughter and the woman who touched Christ's garment. While he spoke these things to them, behold, a ruler came and worshipped him, saying, okay, now look at the Mark account. When Jesus had crossed over again by boat to the other side, so we were doing kingdom parables on one side, got in the boat, had a little storm along the way, not so little, went to the side of the country of the Gadarenes where the cities of Decapolis were, and that's where we found the pigs. Now we crossed over again back to the other side. And I think this would be the west side of Galilee, of the Sea of Galilee, okay, where Capernaum and Nazareth and those places are. While he spoke these things to them, behold, a ruler came and worshipped him, saying, my daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live. Now, who was this ruler? If you look at the 22nd verse of Mark, you're going to find out he was a ruler of the synagogue, and his name was Jairus. So some of you people, Sunday school people, you have a little song to go along with Jairus. And you say, oh, I know who he is, man, yeah. Or some of you Chosen fans that watch The Chosen understand. Yeah. Jesus arose and followed him, so did his disciples. Is he going to cast out demons here? We'll see. Good question. And thanks for Mike and Kareen for helping me out with that word that I was looking for, exorcist. You understand that one? Well, he spoke these things to them. A ruler came, worshipped, saying, my daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her. She will live. So Jesus rose, followed him. So did his disciples. Can you say faith? Can you say faith? I was listening. Let me recommend a man that I found, a minister that I found on YouTube. Rob Renner, Renner, is I think the way he spells it. This man has a ministry in Russia. He's an American that has a ministry in Russia. I mean, churches, he's there. He lives in Russia, but has an English YouTube channel, and he's teaching all the time. And I found one yesterday. He was talking about faith, and he gets into definitions. He jumps into the Hebrew and the Greek like if it was red and green chili. The guy knows his stuff. Anyway, check him out. And I should check that before I go any further. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to my YouTube channel and make sure that I have the right name, because you'll be looking for somebody else out over there, not be able to find them and say, well, didn't you say? Yeah, I said, but I didn't say it right. Now I can't navigate through this whole thing the way that I want to. History. Rick There you go. Rick Renner. R-I-C-K, of course. R-E-N-N-E-R. Okay. I like the guy because he's kind of bald too, so that gives me some comfort to go. Rick there. Flo and Joe. There you go. They know all about Rick Renner. Thank you for helping me out with it. So Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. Suddenly, a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came from behind and touched the hem of his garment, for she said to herself, "If only I may touch his garment, I shall be made well." But Jesus turned around. When he saw her, he said, "Be of good cheer, daughter, your faith has made you well." And the woman was made well from that hour. The 67th chapter of Gospel Harmony is pouring over with faith. Not that the rest of the Bible isn't, especially the Gospels, but this is the focal point, the fulcrum point, the point that rocks whether life or death is all about faith. Light or darkness, it's all about faith. How we respond to this God who loved us so much that he sent his only begotten Son. And when the Son left, he sent the Holy Spirit to walk alongside you. And how you respond to him and his word is going to determine the course for your life. She arose and followed him, so did his disciples. Suddenly a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came from behind and touched the hem of his garment, for she said to herself, "If only I may touch his garment, I shall be made well." But Jesus turned around, and when he saw her, he said, "Be of good cheer, daughter, your faith has made you well." That woman was made well from that hour. Now, here's an important point. And I feel like taking credit for it, but I can't, because Mike and Corrine have just responded saying, notice, she touched him. Jesus did not touch her. And you're going to find out, okay? You're going to find out in the Mark or the Luke account, you're going to find out that the crowds were all around him. And let me see if I can find it for you. Watch this. Let's go to the Mark account, okay? Verse 25, a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, suffered many things from many physicians, spent all that she had, was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd, touched his garment, for she said, "If I only may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples said to him, "You see the multitude thronging you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" Hey, Jesus, I don't know what world you're living in, but everybody's touching you. We got elbows and shoulders and everybody trying to get in close and rubbing up close, and everybody's kind of rocking you to the left and rocking you to the right, and you're trying to go out toward where this where Jairus' daughter has died, and you say somebody touched you. Oh, it was a different type of touch. She touched him. He didn't touch her physically. In fact, he's going to say, virtue came out of me. Watch what it says in the Luke account, verse 46. There's, but Jesus said, "Somebody touched me, for I perceived power going out from me." Ooh, my God. I know we kind of skipped around a little bit. We're going to have to close our program here in just a few seconds, but my God. Jesus turned around, back to the Mark account. "Be of good cheer, daughter. Your faith has made you well." And the woman was made well from that hour. When Jesus came into the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the noise, let's not even talk about going into the house. We'll save that for tomorrow. The second half of chapter 67. There came a man named Jairus. He had a daughter about 12 years of age. A woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, spent all her money on the doctors to no avail. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. All the way to our next song, which is Tammy Trent singing Rain on Me, 10.5 minutes after the hour is 7 o'clock. We'll have to cover the young daughter on tomorrow's program, I guess.
I'm a flower so small, growing in a dry desert, but you are